Hey everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's your latest Uncensored match build-up. This time ahead of Liverpool versus Leeds. Game will take place on New Year's Day, 5:30 kick-off at Anfield. I'm Steve Horde, joined by Dan Clubb and by Andy Bell to preview that big game. Straight off the bat, spoiler alert, this is a pre-recorded show. We are not live on New Year's Eve. So yeah, if anything's happened between 11:40 on Tuesday and by the time you hear or see this, that is why. But yeah, so about that one. It's probably why at the end of the show we won't be doing too many previews around the Premier League as well, because that game has already probably happened. Well done to Arsenal and Aston Villa for their win/draw. Leeds, Dan, I'll start with you. Interesting, Leeds were having a bit of a stinker. Yeah, Daniel Farke was absolutely under pressure. He was under pressure before the season. There was talk that, nice one for getting us promoted. We don't think you're very good at keeping teams up. You might go. And actually, he was proving all those doubters correct. Because the doubters, what was it? Fair play to me, doubters, they were correct. That's what he was out, because they were having a bit of a stinker. They changed formation against Chelsea, went to like a back five, and since then their results have been mightily impressive. So they, of course, that come on the back of narrowly getting back into it against Manchester City the week before, by the way, but beat Chelsea at home, draw at home to Liverpool, as we know, draw at Brentford, beat Crystal Palace convincingly at home, draw away to Sunderland, and now they play us, and then they've got Man United and Newcastle on the horizon. So it's fair to say Leeds have gone from looking not nailed on for relegation, but they were certainly one of the bigger favourites. Actually, now they've got themselves out the relegation zone. The gap is a significant gap as well. It's been a little bit of a good turnaround for them since, again, that spirit to fight back against City onwards, really. But the change of formation feels like that was the key, that Farke's unlocked a little something with them. Yeah,
most definitely, yeah. And, keeping Dominic Calvert-Lewin out on the pitch, because he's obviously inspired a lot of what they've been able to do in recent weeks. But, credit to Daniel Farke, as you say, a lot of the noise from the media and inside his own fan base was starting to really sort of ramp up, and suggestions were that he was on borrowed time a little bit actually up at Leeds, and I think it was a little bit unfair, some of the pre-season speculation around this job, given what he'd just achieved with them, like racked up a silly amount of points to get them out of the Championship, and I think he deserved a crack at trying to keep them up at least, albeit his Premier League record prior to this wasn't particularly glowing. But no, you're right, and it's interesting, obviously you mentioned the Chelsea game there, which is obviously really the catalyst amongst a few in terms of how they managed to turn this around and sort of look like it might keep the head above water. But it was that half time at the Etihad, because they were getting done, weren't they? And all of a sudden they come back out and looked a different beast. He made a couple of changes at half time, both in terms of personnel and in terms of system, and they haven't really looked back since. And suddenly they're more competitive in games, they look more of a threat in an attacking sense as well. So he deserves a huge amount of credit for that, because not only has he potentially turned Leeds this season around, but he certainly saved his own skin a little bit as well.
It's interesting as well, Andy, because that change of formation going to the back five, and it's made them a bit more solid in theory. It's made them actually attacking set pieces. Maybe it makes that a little bit easier as well. It gets them their width from out wide. The interesting one is Rodon went off injured against Sunderland, and when obviously they were 1-0 down, I think, when that happens, but he brings on Tanaka and brings on a midfielder and goes to a back four. And I was reading a little bit this morning, like Leeds journalists, fans maybe aren't quite too sure if he'll stick with the back three now, because Rodon was so important to it, and they're not quite sure about backups and stuff. It'll be interesting whether he does, because you'd imagine he doesn't want to change away from the formation that's brought so much success, but with an injury, an ankle injury, he's not going to play for a few weeks. The change to going to Anfield and saying, you know what, we're going to take one defender off the pitch and put a midfielder on it feels a bit counterproductive. So they might have to try and bring in a different player there and maybe stick with it. It feels like that could be the best option. But listen, Tanaka's a good player as well, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there.
Yeah, Tanaka's a very good player, covers loads and loads of ground. Yeah. All three other midfielders do. Presumably it will be Ampadu, Tanaka and Stack. And like Stack's just...
Or Aronson, by the way.
Or Aronson had a great game, on the weekend as well. So they've got options there. All seem to have worked out how to make it very difficult to play against if you're in the sort of bottom 5 or 6 teams in the Premier League. They've worked out a way just making it really, really difficult for every team in every game and being effective. And like you say, Dan, that's not what we expect from Daniel Farke. We're used to seeing his naive Norwich teams ship goals and go down with a whimper. And if you'd given me £100 at the start of the season and said you have to put this on the first manager to be sacked, it would have absolutely all gone. £1 million drop, Davina McCall style, on Daniel Farke. But he's proven me wrong. He's created a team, I think, full of massive lads. I don't think any of his signings in the summer are under 6 foot. And he's made them very, very difficult to play against. And they're a horrible side to play against. And we saw that at Ellen Road. Well, obviously, were comfortable for a while in that game until we're totally not. And the minute there was any adversity, they were fantastic. But they do the other side of the game very well as well. The goal they score against Sunderland is a clinic in playing out from the back, and nobody does anything outstanding, but it's a really easy but beautiful in the eye goal. So it'll be interesting to see who comes in. I think Bijol is around, isn't he?
It's Bijol, Struck and Rodon's.
Yeah.
That's been the three he's built this all on, but now Rodon's injured. It'll be interesting. Like I say.
I thought Bijol, I didn't realise Bijol started the weekend, actually.
They brought him in recently, he's been sort of, again, amongst...
Since that was the back three change.
He
is a threat from set pieces as well.
Yeah.
But Joe Roden is as well, so they'll miss that.
Yeah, and obviously, as we know, I think literally in the last hour, as we're recording, our set piece coach has left. For him, I actually feel very sorry for, because it was never supposed to be his job in the first place, and he's put his hand up and he said, I'll have a go. So I think that's quite harsh, but that's a different story. Let's see if there's any change this weekend. But they're a team who, like you say, come down from 2-0 against us, come down from 2-0 against City, come down from 1-0 the weekend. We know Liverpool don't have games wrapped up at 1 or 2-0, but certainly against Leeds we don't. So this is going to be one that will go right to the wire, I think.
Dan mentioned before, Andy, about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's interesting because when a team stays up, or when a team comes up, you're always thinking, right, can one of their lads who scored all those goals in the Championship, can they replicate it? And it's really hard to do that. It's not too many come up from the Championship and bang tons of goals. And Brentford actually did it quite well. Ivan Toney made the step up quite a lot. He did it quite well. But more often than not, it's been a bit difficult, and you have to go to the market. And we've seen, with all due respect, but retread players who maybe cast off from other teams, and you think, they'll come in, and you look like Callum Wilson at West Ham, and you just think, you just know it's not going to work. I don't think too many people thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Leeds was this one where he's going to all of a sudden, after a couple of years in the wilderness at Everton, really go bang and score the goals that are going to keep Leeds up. But that's what he's kind of done. He's got 8 goals now in 16 league games, and actually most of those have come very recently. He's on a good run of scoring. It's quite a turnaround from him, but also he is the type of striker actually who causes this Liverpool team problems, the physicality. He's good off set pieces, like I say, he's good in the air. It's been a real turnaround, because I don't think many Everton fans were that disappointed when Calvert-Lewin left, but if you ask them all now, and when it's Beto and Barry, I think most of them would be like, give us Dominic Calvert-Lewin in this form back immediately. He's found like a new lease of life there. He's 28 in Leeds.
Yeah, I think the thing with Calvert-Lewin was always the injuries, wasn't it? It was keeping him fit, but I don't think there's any doubt, even in Everton fans' minds, that if you have a fit and firing Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's one of the better strikers in the league, and he's shown that. He certainly scored 6 in the last 6. He scored in every one of the last 6. Is that what it's been? Yeah. So he'll be eyeing up that Vardy record of 11, won't he? He's halfway there. I'm not saying he's going to get it. Hopefully it all comes crumbling down this weekend. But, he's halfway there, and he's doing very well. And he has all the physical attributes to be a fantastic striker. I have no particular love for the England national team, but you look at that squad, and you've got Kane's going to be there, Watkins going to be there. There's no sort of nailed on striker after that, so there's every chance he can throw him in as a wild card there. And if he is scoring sort of a goal a game, 2 in every 3, then you have to take him and throw him on, and that could be a real wild card for England. So he's got that incentive. He always seems to do this in the season before a World Cup, doesn't he? I think he's the second second striker in Qatar.
He's real nicely.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so hopefully we can put a stop to it this weekend. But if you've got a striker there, he's scoring, let's say he gets 15 this season, that's not to be sniffed at when you're down that end of the table.
Well, he scored down in 23-24, he played 32 league games for Everton and scored 7. Last year he played 26 and scored 3. So I understand why Everton thought, what, you know what I mean, but he's a free transfer effectively, isn't he? The contract runs out, and now, like say, 6 in the last 6, he's 16 games, 8 goals in all competitions, and he will be full of confidence. And that is like for Liverpool, you're looking, I always think when a team comes to Anfield, well, how are they going to score a goal? At the moment it's a set piece, because everyone can score a set piece against us, but who else can score a goal? And he's definitely shown in the last couple of weeks, like he can score a goal, and that is something Liverpool have to look out for. Again, not only set pieces, but just an open play as well. He's on a really good run of form.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely at it, and he's had purple patches in his career, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
That's been his career.
Yeah,
he's a very streaky player.
Yeah, and he's on one right now, and we need to do everything in our power to stop it, because, as you rightly say there, and he's the perfect type of player for the way the Premier League is right now. If you're going to be unapologetically set piece dominant, as Leeds have been in recent weeks, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin's tailor-made for that, isn't it? Something right. But I saw something, I think it was on Monday Night Footy recently, of his sort of where his goals had come from, and they were all literally in a line.
Yes.
Weren't they? Central, and Carragher and David Jones were laughing at it. So we need to sort of make sure we've got that space occupied and not allowing Dominic Calvert-Lewin any freedom of the 18-yard box there. Because one thing we know for sure, if you do give him a sniff, certainly in the streak that he's in right now, he will punish you. Like, we've seen it before ourselves, haven't we? Let's be honest. So, yeah, we need to be wary of the threats that he poses. We know all about him. It's going to be a physical night's work for Virgil van Dijk, Ibu Konate, and they need to stand up to that test, because Andy references as well earlier on, like Leeds, to give them more credit, preempted what the league was going to be. That physicality, that 6 foot plus nature of it all, because they went and signed shitloads of them, and it's landed the Giants a little bit.
It better than us.
Yeah, massively so. Yeah, and as we know our Achilles heel and our vulnerability to set pieces and deliveries into the box so far this season, and Leeds again, they will provide lots and lots of that. So it's going to be a challenge.
I like the midfield as well. Actually, I think depending on who plays, there's a chance Ampadu goes to the back, and they bring Tanaka in, but then, like you say, Anton Stach was their big sign, so literally, and metaphorically, like, he's massive, 6'4", but he's played well. He's been a revelation for them a little bit. I mentioned there the energy they've got in there, Dan. Now, it's different because they played loads of games, of course, Championship, a few new lads come in, but like, this is the time sometimes when the promoted teams or the teams where you expect to be struggling a little bit more find it tough, because it goes from 2 games a week, more intense. You know what I mean? Like, most teams they've been playing, or a lot of the top teams have had a European game midweek while they've had a full week to prepare for it. That's where it can change. So I always think that's why Liverpool tend to do quite well in December. They're just more robust and used to it. Same for like the Arsenal maybe and City, etc. That's the only thing for Leeds, is that they do play a highly intense game of football. And the weekend was tough. It was a good game. Sunderland give them everything they could handle, really, a depleted Sunderland. And again, they've come off the back of other results. That's the one thing that under Daniel Farke will be like, how many changes do I have to make, or do we go again? Because we know we can get into this Liverpool side. Some teams in the past will go, we're probably going to lose anyway. We might rest 2 or 3. I don't think Leeds will be feeling that whatsoever. They're coming here full of beans, and they'll like I say, energy levels permitting, they'll try and run Liverpool around quite ragged. Yeah,
they'll fancy the chances, won't they? Because they give us a bloody nose literally a matter of weeks ago. So they'll absolutely be up for the challenge, and they are riding the crest of the wave right now when it comes to their recent upturn in form, and they'll see it as a bit of a free hit, because nobody would have anticipated, certainly not at the start of the season, they'd get anything out of a trip to Anfield. So they'll see a point as invaluable, because whilst they have turned the corner in terms of recent results, like, they're still looking over the shoulder, aren't they, at what's going on behind them. So yeah, they'll be up for it, and as you say, that midfield in particular runs all day. It's got nothing left. I don't think they've been too impacted by AFCON, if at all, certainly not by comparison to Sunderland, who played at the weekend. So yeah, I think they might have to make 1 or 2 changes just to freshen it up a little bit, to provide a little bit more energy on the pitch. But we're in a not too dissimilar boat. Obviously, we'll come on to our own team news and what have you in a minute, and the choices are on a slot got to make, but there aren't many, because we haven't got many senior lads fit and available. So I think it'd be quite even in terms of sort of the intensity and the energy that both teams can bring to the table. Just going to be who wants it more on a day, and that's another place we've struggled, I think, actually a little bit, to sort of stand up to those sort of tests. So we're going to need to.
Yeah, Liverpool are going to have to definitely try and match them there. It's absolutely one. It'll be interesting, like say, how they deal with the injuries and the intensity of the game. Liverpool. You're right, Liverpool can't make too many changes. Let's talk about that then, Andy. Again, there was no official press conference for this game, by the way. They just didn't do one, which is fair enough. Everyone's busy. Everyone's got.
I think they did it after Wolves, but it's not out until New Year's Eve or something.
And it's so early. What did he know?
Well, there's no team news available. There's nothing, so we don't know. So usually we would wait after the press conference. We do the show, so we know exactly. But from what we're led to believe, no new injuries, touch wood. But no one returning either. Like, I feel like the squad's going to be the squad. The exception, of course, is that Szoboszlai's back from suspension, and he will play. So, yeah, coming off what was a pretty gruelling second half where Liverpool looked a bit leggy, it'd be interesting to see how many changes the manager does make, if any, because he hasn't got that many options. Szoboszlai will play, and he probably just comes in for Chiesa. I think that's one. It's whether do we expect anything at fullback with Conor Bradley and Andy Robertson being available. Gakpo, if he's ready to start a game now, I mean, by all accounts, the reason that Ekitike was hanging on for dear life was because he didn't think they had enough minutes in Gakpo's legs to get him too much more. So,
and that showed when Gakpo came on.
He was. Again, he's still nowhere near it. So, changes-wise, usually you just do want to freshen this up a little bit. And again, it hasn't been a long turnaround, but it hasn't exactly been a massive rest either. So, Sabo for Chiesa. Again, fullback's probably the only other real one where we're looking, maybe.
Yeah, I think they'll look at this as a 3-game sort of stretch now. It's obviously Leeds New Year's Day, then Fulham on the Sunday, then Arsenal on the Thursday. Barnsley, we do what we want for that game, and whatever the sports science says, who needs a rest, who needs minutes, plays and that. And we should hopefully we'd be able to get through that anyway. So I'd be surprised if...
Are they good at set pieces, man?
Probably are. They sound like they are, you know. I would say none of Bradley, Frimpong, Kirkes or Robertson will start all three.
Yeah, I think so,
is what I would say of this stretch. Szoboszlai's the interesting one. Yes, he will come back in. Will it be for Chiesa? Will he play on the right-hand side? Or will he do what I presume was actually the plan at the start of the season when Salah went away to AFCON, which is Frimpong right wing and Szoboszlai in the middle, and that would probably mean taking McAllister out, give him a little bit of a rest. Like McAllister's been better recently, but you don't want to flog his legs because we don't want him to return to the player we saw in the first couple of months of the season. So I think there's an argument for putting Szoboszlai in for McAllister, maybe Frimpong on the right, or even maybe keeping Chiesa where he is, giving him another shot at it. Couple of reasons I think I would do that. And the main one is just Szoboszlai's pressing. I think when he plays on the right hand side, you don't see him leading the press quite as much. It's more Wirtz who leads it for whatever reason. And you know, Wirtz is a good presser, but he's not Szoboszlai. Nobody is. So I'd be tempted to just get Szoboszlai back in that central area by hook or by crook. At the same time, over the last 6 or 7 weeks, ever since we sort of tightened things up and got a few more results, Slot's been a bit more pragmatic. And so to sort of not rip up the system, but to make 2 or 3 changes when you can just do a straight Szoboszlai for Chiesa, I can't necessarily say I'm doing it, but I could see the argument for it.
I think on the fullback stand, sticking there for a minute, it feels like this one for Frimpong probably starts again. And then you probably say to Conor Bradley, you're playing at Fulham. Liverpool should have more of the ball in this game in theory. Like that's the plan, isn't it? I think we'd all agree. You know, I love Conor Bradley, fantastic, but I think Frimpong's probably a bit more of an attacking threat with his pace at this minute. Conor Bradley's certainly a better defender. I think he's a fabulous defender. So again, a lot of this will be sports science driven. Bradley was apparently 50-50 for the weekend, and he lasted he got half an hour. So it feels like the manager might go for Frimpong. The interesting one's on the other side, whether he goes Robertson or Kirkes. He's tended more often than not to do the other team have a pacey winger? Yes, they do. Right then, Kirkes is in. Yeah. Have they not got a pacey winger? No, they haven't. Okay, we can get Andy Robbo in. I was just looking back because
if it's Dan James, Kirkes is nailed on.
Well, he's out there for an injury. Okay, but last time it was Kirkes who plays in the game at Ellen Road. It was obviously that's when they went to the back five. So it was like Bogle in particular over there, and a little bit of moving around, but. There is a value, I think, for getting, again, if you're worried about set pieces and organisation and stuff, just going, get Andy Robbo in.
Yeah, there is. This feels, and again, I think that the main reason I want to say, obviously with fitness dictated too, of course it will, but I think Milos Kirkes is probably enjoying his best little spell.
So why take him out?
So why take him out? Why sort of stop a good thing? I think it would actually be sort of a real sort of negative, and he'd look at it that way as well if he suddenly took him out the side when he is just starting to look like the Milos Kirkes that we believe we signed in the summer. I think he just let him run with it for a little bit. He's clearly enjoying interacting, linking up with Florian Wirtz. He's enjoying the new system. He's enjoying a bit more protection over that side as well. So I think he just run with it for the time being. And obviously Cody Gakpo is getting closer to, might have to sort of deal with him coming back at some point, but his understanding of relationship with Andy Robertson's probably better, so he might be able to kick that can down the road a little bit until the Fulham game necessarily. So yeah, I'd be very, very tempted just to allow Milos Kirkes to continue to grow into Liverpool shirt, because I think, again, we've waited a little while to see him just be what we expected and what we'd hoped. So I wouldn't really want to put a stop to it prematurely. I don't think there's any need to do that right now.
The other thing I haven't mentioned actually, Andy, and is Gakpo. Like, the manager loves Cody Gakpo, and when if he's fit and available, there's every chance he starts on that left hand side. You move it central and go from there, because he very rarely has taken an opportunity not to play Cody Gakpo when he could. So he does start away at Leeds, and actually for the first half he's all right. Like, Liverpool were pretty good. To a point, obviously, they scored 2 very quick goals either side with Ekatike, but there's a world where if he thinks he can get an hour of Cody Gakpo, he might be really keen to get him back involved.
Yeah, I'd be astounded if he starts, just based on what we saw at the weekend. I really like Cody Gakpo. I think that the stick he's come in for this season has been way over the top, and I know that's not a popular thing, because I've seen everyone when things are going wrong, Gakpo's the one everyone's going for, and I sort of think, because of the style of player he is, like, right, we know he's not going to go in for a Conor Bradley 50-50. We know he's probably going to pull out of that one. We also know he sort of does the same thing over and over again, which is very effective, but when it doesn't work, it just looks like he's doing the same thing over and over again, which isn't working. And you couple that with the pulling out of the tackles, it's a very obvious criticism if Liverpool don't win a game and if he doesn't play well. If Chiesa on the weekend, I don't think Chiesa plays particularly well, but he sort of just, makes a couple of runs, puts a couple of tackles in, doesn't really get past his man, and you can stand up and clap him off after 60 minutes and it's fine. Whereas if it's Gakpo, it's right in your face. And I don't think that's entirely fair. The numbers are still, broadly speaking, there comparative to the rest of the team. He still gets goals, he still gets assists, even when he's not playing well. And you just can't turn your nose up at it, especially when we're attacking in the way that we were for a while. It's got a little bit better recently, but he is effective. And last season he's our second top scorer, isn't he? Or he's somewhere it's very close between him and Diaz. He's 17 goals across the course of a season. So he's not absolutely spectacular. He's not necessarily world class, I don't think, but I still think he's a very effective and a very good Premier League winger. So we should be looking at getting him back to full fitness as soon as we can. I just don't think he's ready to start this game. Fulham would be where I'd say he'll get his hour and then he'll be back in the team.
Yeah, I feel that's probably where we're at. It just depends, like I say, Dan, a lot of this is sports science driven, and the manager, I don't know how far ahead he can look, and that's the thing, yeah, because Liverpool need the points. Like we're sitting here recording this, we don't know how the Tuesday games are going, but regardless, Liverpool needs to win this game against Leeds. And sometimes you could think, right, if I pick him there, I can then save him for Fulham. I'm not sure Arne Slott's really got that luxury in terms of the points, but also in terms of his options. So it'll be fascinating to see exactly. Does he just go, let's just pick the game for Leeds, and then I'll just cross the Fulham bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, I think it has to be the case to be the Putney Bridge, wouldn't it? Because
I wanted to do that one, but I didn't have anywhere near the geographical knowledge.
There is a bridge, but I knew there was a bridge.
There is. Only because I went, I think, last season. But anyway, regardless, you have to do it on and it's a cliche, isn't it? But game by game, take it each day as it comes, etc., etc. But you're right, because we might have been guilty of, or they would have fallen into the trap of planning blocks of games at some point during the season. They probably do it quite a lot. Most football teams probably do it. But then you get to this time of year, especially when it is a game every few days and the intensity ramps up a notch or two, and all of a sudden, you find yourself scrambling around for options. And we saw the weekend, the bench was very, very under strength. Obviously, Cody Gakpo, I don't really think he was fit enough to be a part of that. I think in an ideal world, they'd probably give him the entire day off once again, because of what you get, a matter of minutes at the end.
And
so,
it was because Ekitike was narrow.
Exactly. So yeah, it was kind of a must, and it wasn't right ultimately. So yeah, I don't think Arne Slot will be necessarily looking any further ahead than this Leeds game. He'll be taking this one off, getting this one over and done with, and then seeing what he's got left to pick up the pieces after that.
It's the reason I think Chiesa shouldn't start, and this isn't a massive knock on him. I don't think he was amazing, but I don't think that you should judge him on one game. I just don't think Ekitike at this moment in time looks like he can play 90 minutes.
No.
And I think Chiesa has to be ready to be the sub for Ekitike at some point. It's something like Ekitike's going to have to work on. His fitness levels are going to have to get better, and Liverpool are going to have to manage that throughout the season. But especially the manager doesn't tend to like putting Cody Gakpo up front, so I think Chiesa now until Alexander Isak back, which is going to be months, he might have to be he's your second striker option, isn't he?
He said that himself, hasn't he? He's come out and said that he sees Chiesa as a number 9, albeit he plays him on the right wing on Saturday there. He sees him as a number 9. I just think it's actually testament to some really poor planning from Liverpool in the summer. I know it's sort of a different podcast, maybe, or a different conversation, but Chiesa didn't get a sniff at centre forward last season, so he was our 5th choice. Now, different options there. None of them were perfect at any stage. I don't think Diaz was probably the one who, played the most and did the best, but they choose to cash in on him. I was very pro selling Nunez, but it was another option there that was ultimately above Chiesa in the pecking order. Obviously, what happened with Jota was tragic, and you couldn't account for that. But we've gone from Federico Chiesa being our 5th choice striker last season to now being 2nd choice and sort of being guaranteed 20 minutes because Ekitike, for some reason, at this point can't do 90. And then we're having to shoehorn Gakpo back in, possibly even rush him back in. We were all told we don't need a replacement for Diaz because it would block the pathway of Ngumoa, but Ngumoa's not getting a game, so that doesn't make any sense, and we've been left without a left winger for the last few games. We've had to shoehorn Wirtz out there. For the amount of money we spent, the amount of recruitment we did, we left ourselves awfully short in some really key areas. I think Richard Hughes deserves a bit of criticism for that.
Bit of short and injuries. Injuries in the places you were already a little bit worried about, and all of a sudden that's how Joe Gomez is playing right back for a month.
Well, we have been left light, there's no two ways about that. And I think some of the messaging around the reasons as to what we did and why we did what we did, like not going for replacement Diaz, a left wing option because in Gamoa, that doesn't make a whole ton of sense right now because he's played, a handful of minutes here and there. You got some sympathy though. Obviously the Isak injury, nobody could foresee it. And possibly, we'll never know, but Jayden Danns might have been in around this conversation as sort of a third, fourth choice potentially, but injuries have curtailed that as an option as well. So I've got some sympathy. But also, I agree with the criticism of those leading because the whole squad looks a bit imbalanced in places.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
The last one I want to talk about, actually going back to Frimpong, like I say, I think we all kind of touched on there. Him, at this moment in time, while Gomez is out, him and Bradley are going to have to share time at right back. It will be interesting that if Gomez, as and when he's back, because apparently the injury wasn't that bad, but you never know with Joe. It's never been that bad before, it's been months. But like, Frimpong was touted as playing right wing when Salah goes to AFCON. I think it was mentioned by everybody, including the manager himself. That is something that is on the table. Even now, like there's everywhere. You can play Bradley and Frimpong. He literally did it. So he's got options to be able to do that if he wants. Frimpong right wing with his pace against sides who you think maybe are going to sit a bit deeper would be an interesting one. Like I say, he can use that pace on fullback as well, so it's not a problem. But that is something that we might see. Again, it could even be against Leeds. If he thinks Bradley is fit enough now, and because his was more of an impact injury than anything muscular, and Frimpong is over the hamstring stuff, we could actually see both of them on that right-hand side. And like I say, like Andy says, it allows you to get Szoboszlai back into the middle where you probably want him.
Yeah, no, it's not out of the question. Not at all. And I think it's something we will certainly see more of, whether it be from the start of this game in particular or not. I think whilst Salah's away and whilst we are a little bit short in numbers, I think we will definitely see those two on the pitch at the same time, because I think it makes an abundance of sense, actually, because not only do you get the more solid right-back option in Conor Bradley in behind Frimpong and allowing Frimpong to do some of his best work from a high position, but also Conor Bradley's a real attacking threat as well. So those two sort of working together and choosing which one goes, potentially which one stays, or just being in the final third in unison is a real option that I'd like to see a little bit more of, to be honest with you, because I love Conor Bradley. I think Conor Bradley's got more ability to come inside and play in more central areas than Frimpong. I think Frimpong is sort of a touchline hugging, byline wanting fullback. Excellent at it, by the way, and his pace is clearly a major attribute that teams are just shit scared of, to be honest with you. So yeah, it'd be really nice to see more of that. I would still suggest, how long did Conor play at the weekend? Did he get more like 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Was it? I think Kayser went off. Yeah,
Conor Bradley, yeah.
He's about half an hour.
Half an hour.
Kayser went off after like an hour because he was
yeah.
So he is probably closer than we think to starting, because as you say, it was billed as 50-50. So to go from 50-50 to getting minutes to starting feels a stretch.
Yeah. And he plays on to half time in that Spurs game, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like for about 5 minutes after. So
he's probably a bit closer than we think.
Well,
so
again, it wasn't muscular. He just got whacked. Like someone fell on him. Like they're different recovery periods. And if someone just takes a whack, you're just waiting for that to heal and you're fine. There's no like. Yeah, there's no like, you're not worried about a muscle injury really. You're just hoping he's had enough time to train him.
It's like one of those as well where like Bradley does have some issues with injuries, and there's no doubt about that. And hopefully it's like the Gerrard thing where he was just still growing. It's all going to sort itself out. But he's quite similar to. I literally mentioned this in the Final Word show, but Jota got himself a lot of injuries just by putting his body in positions where he would go for a 10% ball because he was such a sort of fighty type of player. Whereas like Gakpo's never going to get injured in those ones, he's never going to go in for them. But Bradley very much is the same, where like he will pick up some injuries just from people falling on him because he's put his body in this ridiculous position to win a tackle, and that's just the type of player he is. But yeah, I'm glad it's not been a long one because I think he's playing very well.
I would like to see that at some point. Whether I would even, if they're both fit enough to do it, and again, it's actually more on Frimpong, whereas because his was a hamstring injury, and you don't want to. That's literally what happened last time: hamstring, back, hamstring again. That's a worry with him. But I think if you can say to him, and maybe Dan putting him further forward, less running, like he doesn't have to get back as much because Connor's there. Maybe somebody. I think that would be something, the pace, because I don't know exactly what we're going to get from Leeds, but Ekatike hit them with his pace in the game. Actually, the second goal comes from Bradley getting on that right hand side and getting the ball across again with pace. So Frimpong over there might be a good option. The other one I say is Sobbo comes back in. It's a case for who, and there is value in McAllister not playing. I agree with Andy on that one. Right then, are we nervous? Predictions wise, I'm going to start because it feels like again it's Leeds at home, and I understand we're all scarred by the 3-0 the other week, Dan, and it's understandable. And you have to caveat this, and Liverpool are always liable to A, concede from a set piece, or B, have a brain fart. But if not for the brain fart that Leeds, we win that game comfortably. Like there was nothing happening until Ibu decided to give a mental penalty away. Yeah. And again, that can just happen. That's just the way Liverpool are at this moment in time. So we should know we can beat Leeds if you cut out the mistakes. It's whether Liverpool can. So do you think they're going to win?
Yeah, I think we'll win. I am nervous about it though, because we touched on it at the top about Leeds just not really knowing when they're beaten. And that's really dangerous for us right now because
we don't know when we're winning.
We are susceptible to allowing teams to grow in confidence as the game wears on. So I am definitely concerned about this one because I think they pose a lot of threats that we don't like as well. Yep. Tons of energy, tons of physicality, tons of aerial prowess. So you're definitely worried. However, I will say we'll win. I'll say we'll win 2-1, which kind of reflects just how concerned I am.
That has been the scoreline of choice in the last few weeks. Andy?
Yeah, that's the same as my prediction. I think it's going to be nervy. I think it's going to be right to the wire. Like we say, Leeds don't know when they're beaten. So, if we go 2-0 up early doors, it's still going to be in the back of my mind what we've done recently, but also what they've done recently. I think this is going to be really tough for us. I think if we're flagging at any point in the game, they're going to be all over that. They've got runners in the midfield. They've got big lads who can physically bully if they do sniff a weakness. So I'm going to say 2-1, but if you tell me right now it's going to end 1 each, I could see a world in which that happens, unfortunately.
I agree. I'm going to say 3-1. But listen, maybe it was the set pieces coach at fault all along, and all of a sudden someone else is in charge of set pieces, and then Liverpool become the new Arsenal for the remainder of the season and just become this stalwart defensive team who scores off every corner they get. I think that wouldn't reflect well on poor Adam Briggs, a bit of a fall guy in that situation. But I'm going to say, like I say, I do think it's going to be a difficult game. No, there's no doubt about it. But again, ultimately, it's Liverpool at Anfield. And to be fair to them, the performances have not been great, but they have just about found ways to win over the last few weeks. They went brilliant against Brighton, Tottenham, or Wolves, and found a way. The worry is, do your results catch up with your performances, or actually have they kind of found a little bit of something? I think this new formation, and with it doing his little bits and bobs, it gives me a bit of confidence. But absolutely, it's mad that we can sit here and not just go, Liverpool are going to beat Leeds, because that's usually that's what it should be. But that's where we all are at this moment in time. Right then, let us know your thoughts in the comment section, or if you listen as a podcast, let us know on social media. Get your predictions in for the game as well. We will have a watch along on New Year's Day for the game. It's yourself, Dan.
It is.
You and Errol in the hot seats. I won't be there for that one. It's not that I'm out for New Year. It's my daughter's birthday, so I'm not missing that one. Have a wonderful New Year's night. Stay safe, be sensible, and we'll catch you all in 2026. Take care, everyone.